Hi lads and lasses, Modest Pelican here with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. If you enjoy this video, please cancel literally every other single YouTuber so that I can be the only person left still making content, as this really helps spread the good word of my channel. A huge thanks to Ubisoft for inviting me out to the early capture event. So welcome to War Savaged England, and also a game that interprets the definition of what an assassin is very loosely. That's alright by me though, because Vikings are thick boys. We jump in as Eivor, ready to explore, laugh, learn, and maybe use our axe to detach an innocent bystander's head from their torso. I notice two guards are conveniently looking in the wrong direction, and so I sneak up on them and do them dirty. They could have been great guys, but starting a conversation with strangers gives me social anxiety, so yeah, get well soon. I then arrive at the town of Theatford, and I'm going to be honest, this place is pretty depressing. Also, the people here have square shields while I have a non-virgin round shield, which demonstrates that I'm clearly the alpha Chad here. This guy Oswald tells me an army came through here and burnt all their homes and killed dozens of locals, so I say I'll help him get revenge. Unlike these guys who are too busy wallowing in self-pity, crying like little babies, or worse still, napping together, which is the definition of a bad attitude. Also, the average life expectancy of this time period is like 40, so if a bandit's arrow didn't get your husband, it would have been typhoid a week later. Grow up. I also rob some of the locals' houses, which is ethically questionable, but they've clearly prepared too much food for the small group of survivors. The real crime here would be rancid produce. I ride out and realize you can actually slab squat on your horse like this. Somebody give this game a 10. I see a group of guards patrolling, and this guy looks at me wrong. I'm honestly not entirely sure if these big girls are my allies or what, but look, I'm finally playing a game where it's socially acceptable to attack anyone on sight, and I'm definitely going to milk that. I then find an old church which is on brand, as I'm the #1 rated educational Christian music channel in the Oceanic region. I frequently bring this up as it's an extremely impressive achievement. Of course you can still climb, and I remember as a kid playing the first Assassin's Creed game and being amazed by the climbing mechanic. I also love how you can dive into small piles of leaves or hay. Influenced by this, my brother once tried to dive off a 9-story building into some leaves, and let's just say he splat himself. Seriously though, he died a pretty aggressive death. It really broke my family. Anyway, I find a nun, and if there's one thing I know about nuns, it's that they can't get married, and therefore everything they do is premarital. She proceeds to make intense premarital eye contact with me, and then tries to premarital kill me. She's actually a beast fighter too, so I do the manly thing and climb up onto the roof of the church so she can't see me, and then jump down on her from above. Damn, that actually wasn't very kosher of me, so I decide to do a little fishing to take my mind off the nun murder. I reel myself in a big old bullhead, how very cool. I then remember I've only got a limited time with this demo, so why the hell am I spending it fishing? I instead blow into my horn and call in my crew and longship. Now this is epic. Your crew and settlement are a big part of Valhalla. I'll be able to recruit people I find around the world, so I hope I find someone worthy. My criteria is that they must be witty, family orientated, and have an ass thicker than the Bible. I proceed to sail the longboat around for a while because it's cool, but in reality I was basically right next to where I needed to be. It's time to get revenge for Oswald and his beta square shield. I creep around the rooftops, consistently dropping 20 or so feet, which I can't imagine is quiet. Fortunately, everyone in this village is deaf, which works out perfectly for big-boned me. If I can clear this village out, Oswald can move back in and I'll have an ally. There's a lot of enemies here, so I decide to do Assassin's Creed again for a while, like the title again. Intelligent and witty jokes aside, it's interesting to see how the franchise has evolved. Getting to play as a Viking is just good, clean fun. For the first time in perhaps my entire esports gaming career, I managed to successfully be stealthy, right up until I burst into this room where 3 big mamazitos are waiting. You guys surely would have heard me leaping around on the roof, and what, were you just like, nah, probably the wind? Not to mention the last guy I shot in the face with an arrow literally shrieked and you didn't even think to check in on your bro? You guys are bad friends. And that's coming from a guy who put an ad on an escort site for one of his best mates without him knowing, so that a bunch of seedy old dudes kept sending him inappropriate messages and unfortunately several images. A questionable banter on my part, but at least Oswald is happy and now his troops can go back to their sad little lives. Now this looks like a pleasant city to visit. I hope it's a happier place. I honestly think the real victim of all these horrific war crimes is me. I don't mean to sound self-centered, but take this woman who's chosen the literal entranceway to throw up everywhere. Hey, welcome to Northwick, where this woman is single-handedly crippling the local tourism industry. It's not all chunder though, there is a bit of a vibe here. I help a boy chase his lost cat, which is really good of me. Then rather than giving it back, I actually take the cat to my ship so I can have a pet, I guess. Did I really just steal a kid's cat? Vikings truly were the ultimate badasses, but hey, that cat do be squatting though. I explore a little more, even throwing a pot at this soldier and he catches on fire but doesn't seem to care, which is super chill of him. I can't stand around lighting the townsfolk on fire all day though, as my people need me. They need me to pillage and raid a local warlord's stronghold. My army is waiting for me to give the order. I'm actually kind of a big deal around here and it makes me feel special, as I briefly forget that I don't have an army at my disposal in real life. Unless, I don't know, do you guys want to pillage some villages with me IRL? We'd probably go to jail or die, but we'd definitely have a cheap laugh or two at the expense of others first. I give the order and it's time to go hard. Now this feels extremely Viking-like. Battles were so much more epic in the Middle Ages, let's be honest. The tactics and weaponry were so creative, castles were nearly impenetrable fortresses, and again you could pillage and not go to jail. In fact, let's start a contemporary political movement and make pillaging great again. Say if my neighbour gets the new PS5 or Xbox before me, I'm pulling out a big axe and I'm pillaging that privileged Malacca for everything he's worth. Don't believe the hype, don't be a sheep, kill your neighbour and take his possessions or you're a simp to the system. So yeah, this raid is pretty damn epic and it's actually surprisingly challenging too, which I enjoy. The boys and I have to find a balance between fighting and ramming. Sometimes we get lit on fire too, which is simply a horrible thing to do to another human. A huge fight erupts right outside the Inner Bailey and I'm so low on food that I get worried I might not make it. Then I remember I'm playing an AC game, so I just climb up this tower so that I can try to assassinate their leader. If I can take him out, the rest will surrender, which will be great for us, but unfortunately for them, our people are not really in the prisoner-taking business. I find Big Sexy and shoot arrows at him from up here for a while. This isn't too effective, so I decide to go for one sweeping blow, but I miss by quite some distance and it's incredibly awkward. He also has this fire sword and he's really quite an angry unit. Somebody needs a snack, like perhaps munch down on a banana, champ. Imagine carrying a child in your womb for 9 months, raising them, and giving them all your love, and then they turn out to be a big angry fire sword guy who doesn't appreciate the benefits of one's daily intake of potassium. I realize that he's crazy strong, and so I do the mature thing and shoot arrows at him from a distance again. This wins me the fight, and now I get to decide if he'll live or die. To forgive is to set a prisoner free and discover that prisoner was you all along. Just kidding, I kill him in cold blood. I do, however, give him a warrior's funeral because he was a worthy opponent. You've got to show respect to the dead or you'll have bad karma. Anyway, this victory means these lands need a new king, and so we marry one of our soldiers to a local 14-year-old boy. Don't overthink it, it was a different time where this sort of thing was fine and dandy. Now we get to enjoy the festives of the wedding. I shoot arrow pots and win a wager because gambling is fun for all ages. It also seems as if I've had a bit too much to drink, but I don't let that stop me from dominating the D floor. In Australia, we have a sacred tradition known as a shoey. This involves emptying out your alcoholic beverage into your shoe and then sculling it. I think the Vikings could have learned a thing or two from Australia's rich modern culture. The wedding was a huge success and oh wow. I swear I tried to kill a civilian earlier and it didn't let me, but apparently you can. You know how the saying goes, don't get shot in the head with an arrow. A lot of that going around today. I figure I've overstayed my welcome, so I take off. I then climb a statue of a half-naked lady and I'm definitely going to say that we banged. I ride my horse through a spooky forest and a bunch of savages mob me, which is pretty rude. I then raid an incredibly well-defended fortress by myself and I'm struggling as there's simply so many guards. It was at this moment I realized you can blow your horn in the air and your crew will run over and raid and pillage with you. I guess the lesson here is that if you're ever beating someone up and they start to fight back, get your friends to come over and help to ensure that you remain the bully. I'm really interested to see how this game turns out. Thanks for watching, you absolute legends, and thanks to those who support the channel through Patreon. Until next time, and as always, stay classy.